Welcome to the Money Mentors Podcast.
Welcome to Money Mentors. I'm Laurel Stewart here with Gerald Green, and we're excited to have you join us this weekend on Money Mentors, where we talk all things retirement and financial.
I'm still, sorry if I'm a little slow, I'm still getting used to this whole fallback thing again.
I know.
Like, how is this still a thing?
I like it that my mornings start with a little more brightness, but I really dislike about 5:30 because I'm like, is it 8 o'clock? Like, it doesn't feel like an hour shift. It feels like a 3-hour shift.
It just seems like we're getting to the point where I go to work in the dark and I come home in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's that lack of sun, and I get it. I'm like,
I'm
not
enter
a beach
hibernation.
person. Right. I'm not a beach person, but I still need the sun.
Yes.
Oh, for sure. It does feel like midnight by the time you get home from work. And I think it's a little demotivating, if that's a word.
Oh, absolutely.
Home,
Actually, just talked about that. I'm like, by 8 o'clock, Taylor and I are looking at each other like, ready for bed? Yeah. Like, what? It's only 8 o'clock, but okay.
Go to bed with the kids, seems like. But, oh, man, I'm with you there. Even with the extra hour last week, it's just been a weird week, kind of getting adjusted. But here we are. It is November. We did do the time change, a reminder that time flies. And we're here on Money Mentors this week to remind you, if you haven't nabbed one of those year-end time slots with us at Matson Financial Services to get some of those year-end things done, let's take advantage of those few daylight hours that you have remaining here in 2025 to get some of these financial priorities crossed off your year-end to-do list. And we're going to cover some of those things that you want to maybe think about on today's show. So if you hear something that you know you need to get to, or something that comes up that you just have a question about, a couple of easy ways to reach us this weekend. You can always go online to matsonfinancial.com and schedule a 15-minute phone call with our team there using our calendar by clicking that Schedule Now button. Or you can reach out to our team during today's show. Our number is 800-536-8907. Again, that's 800-536-8907. And we're keeping an eye on all kinds of things here as we head toward year's end. There's a lot happening in the headlines here, Laurel and Gerald. I think a lot of workers are starting to get really nervous here about their jobs. After all, in recent weeks, we've seen companies like GM, Amazon, UPS, Ford, Target, even Meta announce tens of thousands of job cuts. Seems like every single day we're hearing about new layoff announcements. And Yahoo Finance's Allie Cannell notes that there's a lot at play here, including the discussion about AI taking away a lot of these jobs here.
AI, of course, productivity gains across the board. At least that's the expectation. And for shareholders of these companies, that's ultimately a good thing. That means your margins are going to improve. That means you're going to be more productive across the board. But it is fundamentally changing how people approach hiring. And we did hear from several of the big bank CEOs, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, Goldman Sachs, even Walmart, all talking about how there's an incentive not to hire as much within this environment and see if AI can replace some of that manpower. Now, this is happening at the same time that you have an immigration crackdown that's fundamentally changing the labor market. So how are companies going to continue to absorb this? How is the stock market going to absorb this? If we get jobs reports and there's consistently less than 100,000 jobs added a month, is that just the new normal? What's the digestion period for markets to accept that for the overall economy?
So first, let's discuss the impact on employees here who might be impacted. If someone listening is on the receiving end of one of those pink slips today, especially so close to the holidays, I know this can be really unsettling. So what steps should someone in that situation should they take?
Yeah, there's several layers of things happening here. But from that perspective, if you're handed one of those pink slips, the first thing you should do is just take an accounting of, okay, what do I have in my emergency fund? What should I do with my 401k? Like, start gathering your financial picture of what was tied up with that job or with that corporation. That way you have a clear accounting of, okay, I've got this 401k here. Most of it's traditional 401k, some of it's Roth. Here's what I have in my savings. Here's what I typically spend. Just do a really brief, high-level overview so nothing gets forgotten. You don't want to leave something behind because you may have a time frame if you have stock options with that company that you have to exercise them in a certain amount of time. Otherwise, you lose them. Mm-hmm. So again, maybe you haven't thought about those things in a while, but take a quick snapshot of everything financial that's tied up in that company and just kind of assess that. That would be step number one.
And everything here from the moment that happens, or if you're even thinking that this is possible for you because you work in some of these industries, it's going to be hard not to get wrapped up in the emotion, right? And we get that, especially right before the holidays right now. And so like Gerald said, looking to say, okay, what can I do next is gathering the things. The next step from there is calling us to schedule just a checkup meeting, because perhaps you were laid off already and now you're like, I don't even know where to go, because there's a lot that you've had your head down, you're working, right? You get your paychecks, but maybe you're also one of those to say, what if I get laid off? What does that mean for me? There's no better thing to do than be proactive to say, let me get a second opinion and see how everything sits. And that's where we actually will help you do that full accounting. You bring in all of your statements, all of your taxes, things like that. We're going to put it all together in a plan so you can see, hey, here's your net worth. Here's how everything looks. And then based on what your needs are, just like you did while you're working to have that income flow come in, we're going to map that out in a whole income plan so you see year over year, as you age and your spouse is in this picture too, when do I need to take Social Security? When do I need to take required minimum distributions? What are the tax implications to all of these things? And also, what in the world do we do with our 401k or our pension? And we're going to help you analyze all of those different options, because you can maybe roll all of it over. Maybe there's a reason why you should leave a portion of it there. Maybe your pension has lump sum options, or maybe it doesn't. And so we're going to analyze all of these things and then make some recommendations to provide clarity and a roadmap so you know exactly where you are today and kind of what are the next steps for us to implement, because we don't want you to sit there and get frozen because there's so much to do on your own.
It's really easy to get paralyzed in those kinds of situations, too. So we're going to tell you more in just minutes here about how you can get that second opinion if you need it in that kind of situation. But let's say you're not directly impacted by these layoffs. Canal also mentioned, the impact of these announcements on the market. And Wall Street certainly has a lot of data to consider over these next couple of months. So does the Federal Reserve when they're looking at all these job announcements. So do you see this increasing uncertainty over the labor market contributing to more volatility in the market? And if so, how do we as investors also prepare for that?
This isn't easy, if this happens, then this will happen, right? There may be correlation that doesn't equal causation. So when I look at the labor market with some of these employers laying people off, what we've seen for a while now is what we call labor hoarding. As we came out of COVID, everyone was switching jobs. You had a lot of job movement there. Wage increases went up. It was a lot of money to bring new employees in. And with economic uncertainty that we've seen in the last 2 years, I think employers have been saying, hey, I don't want to cut staff right now because we don't know what things are going to look like. We don't know how things are going to develop, what happens with interest rate, what happens with inflation, what happens with our internal margins. Are we still being profitable? Because that's what's going to drive the stock price. So now that they're reassessing that and they're looking at all these impacts, I don't know necessarily it'll create more volatility. I think peeling back those layers of the onion and seeing as long as the companies are being profitable and finding new efficiencies in order to stay profitable. And I was listening to one analyst on Bloomberg, I believe it was, talking about how AI has leveraged him to become more efficient, because he used to spend hours creating Excel spreadsheets to mine the data that he needed to make a recommendation. He's like, well, now I can go into ChatGPT or any number of these AI and type in, hey, I need a code that does this using this data in this format. Boom. And it spit it out in a matter of seconds. He didn't have to spend hours writing that. Yeah. So efficiency is great. Are there going to be labor market cracks because of that efficiency? Yes, as companies adapt and overcome. And we've seen this throughout the history of our country, going from industrial labor to service-based labor to now we're a consumer-driven economy. Like, it's
evolving
exactly. It evolves the market. Just don't bet against corporate America. These CEOs are very smart. We're going to have volatility. We've always had volatility in the market. Just have a plan.
Absolutely. And we look at it from the aspect of if there is short-term volatility or there's a big swing that happens in the market, it's not really an if, it's a when, right? So we know that's going to happen. So you need to make sure is your plan, if something happens today, short-term or long-term, big swings, whatever that is, what does your income flow look like? Do you have something guaranteed, or do you have something to know that you have a steady paycheck coming in just like you did while you were working? Like, what's that plan look like? Or is volatility going to cause you to have to change your income amount or go back to work, right? Things that you should be able to control now by looking at a long-term plan. Because at Matson Financial, we look at these short-term market swings as an opportunity if you're positioned right. And that's what we do for our clients. So we're looking at harvesting gains, rebalancing portfolios, and what tax-efficient moves can we make in these last couple of months here to make sure that you're in the best position no matter what the markets are going to do and no matter what tax changes and governmental regulations come into place. We're here to react to those things. You might still have the emotion, right? We get that,
Sure.
but we're going to try to remove that and put the plan together so you have clarity on what your retirement plan looks like and that you can retire with confidence.
It's an important point there. There are opportunities, even when things do feel maybe a bit uncertain with the market or even with your own job. A lot of times, the team at Matson Financial Services can give you that second set of eyes on your plan, help you identify maybe the things that you've been missing. So for our listeners this weekend, whether you're looking at your portfolio and wondering, okay, am I in the best spot for where we are right now with this economy? Or for those workers out there who are wondering about their own jobs right now, maybe need a second opinion on where they stand, how can they get started with us this weekend?
It's as simple as just having a conversation. So all you have to do is schedule your discovery call today to get your Matson Map, which is a personalized plan that helps you protect, grow, and navigate your wealth through every season of life. So you can give us a call at 800-536-8907 to schedule your complimentary meeting today.
And we do that complimentary for our listeners for a reason. We think you're going to like that difference you experience with your money mentors at Matson Financial Services. So just talk to our team off the air at any point during today's show. They stand by, take those calls and questions at 800-536-8907. We don't send you to call centers for these conversations. You're talking to an actual team member right here in West Michigan. 800-536-8907. Or you can always reach out through the website too. Schedule that 15-minute phone call at matsonfinancial.com. But next, the U.S. company that went from 3,500 locations at its peak to just 5 today. We'll talk about that next as Money Mentors continues right here on Wood Radio.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
Don't be surprised if you see Christmas decorations up already. Retailers are doing what they can to get people to spend this year. The National Retail Federation says the average consumer will spend $890 on holiday gifts this year. That's just down about 1.3% from last year's record of nearly $902.
And we were talking about it right before here on the break. And we've already watched, the kids and I, the Home Alone movies, Elf, and The Grinch. So, we are catapulted. We are all in Christmas season. I love it because my kids love it.
Doesn't count if you didn't watch The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
I know. I figured we would save that. This was a last year conversation. Throwback, everybody, on the listeners here. If you were listening last year at this time, the three of us, Jennifer, Gerald, and I, had a great discussion about Charlie Brown and The Great Pumpkin because I had not seen it. My kids had not. We definitely did, and I'm saving it for our Thanksgiving, like the weekend right before.
Okay.
That's going to be our go-to.
That one, then you got to watch the Christmas one of Charlie Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll definitely weave that in. But the kids, the Great Pumpkin one is
I got
wonderful.
a rock.
My kids just look at me like, why are they not talking for so long, But they stayed engaged, so it's great.
Right.
All the traditions, we love them all at our household.
Yes, and all the holiday movies. So I'm sure you probably have a spreadsheet, a list, right? And you're just crossing them off, Laurel?
Laurel.
Oh,
yes.
it's just in
She
my
has
head
a
for sure.
No, she has a spreadsheet, I'm sure. It's an Excel sheet, and it's all planned out, what days and times.
It's not too far off. I love checklists and spreadsheets for sure.
But yeah, you probably have this one memorized by now.
Yes.
Yes, all things Christmas over there. So I think the retailers do this for people like you, Laurel, honestly.
They do.
But today we do a lot of our holiday shopping online. But think back just a couple of decades ago, it was a very different story for a lot of us.
There's more for your life at Sears. Did you get it, Mom? What?
The Sears
This was Gerald and me.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
He's like raising his hand like,
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Opening up the Sears catalog, making our Christmas list out of that. Oh, those are the days. I love it. But just a sign of how much things have changed. Sears once had more than 3,500 stores across the U.S. Today, there are only five Sears stores left across the country after the retailer went through bankruptcy a few years ago.
I can't believe they actually have 5 then.
I
honestly.
know, yeah. I think they're in
liquidation
other
stores
states for sure. Yeah.
Just trying to get rid of inventory.
Exactly. So this brings up a really interesting question for the two of you. You know, when we're looking at stocks or sectors to invest in today, I mean, I would have never thought, a couple decades ago, these stores would be gone. So how do we know today if what we're investing in, if the companies we're investing in have really long-term staying power? Because just based on this example, you never know what's going to go away soon.
No, you don't. And, it's funny. I will add this before I answer your question,
Okay.
though, Jennifer. Just yesterday in the mail, I got an Amazon catalog.
I was going to say, we got them now.
Yeah.
I'm like, takes them and circles them.
Exactly. I'm like, they're bringing that
Going old school.
that motivation. Okay, here's the tangible thing for the kids. So I thought that was kind of cool. And
Which I will say I do like because we aren't television people. I mean, other than like sports and things like that. So like we don't see all of the commercials for all the new tchotchkes and toys.
You're right.
So it is nice to have this like tangible catalog to work through because I feel like that's kind of the holiday magic with it.
In this whole day and age, everything is about remaking. So they're remaking the Sears catalog now into the Amazon catalog. So it's good for parents who have kids like Laurel and Taylor.
Yeah,
But
sure.
To get back to your question, how do we know if it's long-term? I mean, the short answer is we don't know. This is something that you constantly have to be keeping an eye on and looking at and understanding, right? And have a plan. Like, let's go back to the dot-com bubble, too. Let's forget about Sears. In the late 90s, every company came out, and if they had a dot-com and went public, they were instant millionaires. But there was no teeth to that investment, right? There was no growth. There was no revenue plan. And we saw the dot-com crash. So, and a lot of people now are relating that to AI.
Yeah.
Companies come out and say they're using AI, and all of a sudden their stock price goes up. You don't know. You have to have a plan. You have to adjust. There's times to sell, to profit take when your stocks are higher. What are you doing? It's not just, hey, look at things. Look how great things are.
Yeah.
Because the market's way up. Look how great I'm doing. No. What are you doing when things are good? Because things are going to get bad at some point. The market will correct. There will be another financial situation. Like bull markets don't die of old age. Something happens and you have to be prepared for that something.
For sure. And I think that also goes to saying why we believe in diversification at our core, because you can't be overinvested in one thing. A lot of times people will come in for their checkup or that second opinion and they feel pretty confident, but they hear us talk about these other pillars, right? So we've got income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and legacy. And typically they hear about investments and income, but that's kind of it. So we bring these other aspects in and we start talking about the whole picture. And then when we put this plan together, it's like what Gerald said, it's not about if these things happen, it's when, and making sure you have steady, reliable income over time and a plan in place that evolves and adapts, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 or 10 years. So we need to make sure that your plan is flexible and your plan is diversified through different markets, because you might think, oh yeah, my mutual funds here, I've got various ones, I feel like we're pretty diversified. Well, we do this analysis and we find out, well, this mutual fund actually has Coca-Cola stock in it, and this other mutual fund has that in it too. So really, you are oversaturated in a certain area, even though you think it looks pretty good on paper. So we'll do that analysis with you, run those different reports so you can see, are you truly diversified? What are the fees that you're paying? And what expense ratios maybe are in place that are adding on top of those fees that you don't realize is eating at your returns?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just have to make sure that whatever plan you come up with, you're looking at it at a consistent basis. I'm having some tough conversations with clients right now because for the last 2 years, as the markets have really generated these double-digit high returns, I've been pulling growth out of the market and setting it to the side, putting it into the income bucket because they're taking income, or putting it into just maybe a fixed income or a bond fund. And they're like, Gerald, why do we have so much fixed income? It's only making 5 or 6%. I'm like, this is just growth we've been taking and the market just keeps running up.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of, okay, explaining to them, look, yes, we do, but this is all growth. It's a good thing. You still have exposure to the market, but now you have an opportunity fund as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're not in your 30s and 40s to say, yeah, keep it in there, let it ride, right? You can handle a 20% or 30% downturn.
Right.
We are here to invest based on retirement, and that means income and making sure you have goals in place that you can reach those goals. And so like Gerald said, sometimes it does take clients getting used to our different philosophy, but that's why we kind of go back to this approach of we're here for the singles and doubles, not the home runs and strikeouts.
Right.
And here's why that is so very important for today's baby boomers. There's a Vanguard Retirement Outlook study here, Laurel and Gerald, that finds less than half of all Americans today are really ready to continue their current lifestyles in retirement. And obviously that investment portfolio is very, very important here. But this study also says the key difference for a lot of baby boomers is also the home equity that they have if they do own their home. So I'm wondering, does that tend to give people more confidence if they have a home that's paid off or if they have a lot of equity built up because of how home prices have skyrocketed today?
I mean, real estate's definitely one of those investments that typically has been more stable. Is it going to get a 15 or 20% year over year rate of return like some of these other, Amazon and Apple have done recently? Knowing that, hey, I bought my house for this, but it's worth this. So if the zombie apocalypse comes and the market goes to zero, I've still got that. My home is paid off and I've got all this equity. Well, if that's happening in the stock market, let's go back to 2007, 2008. Like the stock market came down, real estate prices
People are like, I don't want to talk about that.
Right. Yeah, I know. You never know what's going to happen, what order it's going to happen, or how it's going to happen. If the stocks start coming down and that's going to affect your lifestyle in retirement, you can't fall back on the equity in your home and say, well, I'll just sell my home. Well, what if no one's buying home?
Right.
It's a great idea to think about that, yeah, I can sell it or it's worth this. And maybe it's not that. Maybe it's, well, I'll just go get a loan on my house, and use the equity if I need to. Well, what if no one's giving loans? And if you don't have income, the credit is harder to get at that point. So use it, but use it as part of the plan. You've got to have that income bucket. You've got to have ready, accessible cash. You have to have money in the bank, that emergency fund. Like, know that if the markets do this, you do this. If this happens, you can do this. I talk with all my clients about all of those possibilities as it relates to their specific dreams, goals, and desires.
I think it's an interesting thing to think about because, yes, there's a lot of money in homes, and actually like nearly 90% of baby boomers own a home, right? So that's kind of nice to say, oh, I have this hidden asset for my retirement plan. However, we don't base our income plans off of you selling your home. Because like Gerald was talking about there too, if you unpack it, you might be able to sell your home for a pretty decent profit because you've had it for a long time. But now what is the cost to purchase a new home?
Yeah.
That's still really high right now. Now it's different to say we have some clients that decide to downsize because of maintenance, upkeep, location. Maybe they want to travel more, etc. So they might do a condo, right? Or some type of living situation. Then maybe we have some additional funds that we can invest. But our income plans are not based off of you having this home asset because you are going to always need a home asset.
Right.
But we do look at different things to say, should we pay off the mortgage early, right? Or do we look at, no, we kind of have this goose and golden egg thought process of let's keep a low interest loan, invest, and then peel off some of that off the top to pay for, like the goose and the golden egg. So different strategies that we use, but it's all based on, like Gerald said, your dreams, your goals, your desires. Really, what do you want to have happen? Because there are definitely clients that come in and they say, number one thing before we can retire is I want to pay off the home. And we'll kind of talk through that, right? Okay, is this your forever home? We don't want to pay it off and use all this money and then you've taken out of your 401k and your IRA. Now you depleted that and now you're just going to go and sell this home and move on to something else. So there's a lot of different factors, but we're that sounding board. Our team of experts here, our fiduciary advisors at Matson Financial, helps coach you through all of these different pieces that navigate you to and through retirement.
So for someone who wants to come in and, maybe take that inventory of all their different assets and their investments and really find out where they stand for retirement and maybe some things that they might want to do differently as they head into that next chapter, how can they get started with you, run some of those reports and figure out where they stand?
You can give us a call for the first 5 callers if you've saved $250,000 or more for retirement. We'd love to sit down with you. You can schedule your discovery meeting with us to get your personalized Matson map. and see how all of these different pillars when it comes to income, investments, taxes, legacy, and healthcare play into your entire retirement plan so that way you can retire with confidence. So be one of those first 5 callers now.
You can do that during the break here. Talk to one of our great team members at 800-536-8907. 800-536-8907. Or simply set up that phone call with us right there through our website at matsonfinancial.com. But next, how lower interest rates might impact your decision-making when it comes to investments, and what kind of raise Social Security recipients are getting next year. We'll have the numbers for you coming up next as Money Mentors continues after the news here on Wood Radio.
You're listening to the Money Mentors Podcast.
To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Say that again. To all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles.
Let's hear it, Gerald.
Welcome back to Money Mentors. I am Gerald. I knew that Big Mac jingle. And if you remember this tongue twister of a jingle from McDonald's, chances are you were around in the 70s.
Groovy, baby.
Released in 1974, the song helped boost the popularity of the McDonald's Big Mac during a time of high inflation. The average price for a Big Mac in 1964, get this,
my gosh.
65 cents.
Joking.
Oh, wow.
Today, it's just under $6, $5.79. How's that for inflation?
They need to bring back that jingle.
Oh, I knew it from the instant. Like Jennifer knows it. Don't let me live on this island by myself, Jennifer.
I remember this too.
Seed bun.
Yeah.
That's the part that I got. There
I
we
think
go.
they
To
used
all
it
beef
even
patty,
into the
special
80s.
sauce, lettuce, cheese,
Yeah.
pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Classic.
Nice.
Classic.
And hit it, maestro.
I can't sing it. I can repeat it. I can't sing
Yeah,
it.
don't
Fun
sing
fact.
it, Gerald.
I mean, we don't do much fast food, but at times when grandmas are, picking up kids and helping out and things, I hear, "Oh, we went to McDonald's and guess what our 4-year-old gets? A Big Mac."
A Big Mac.
I'm like,
oh my
what?
gosh. Bonus Big Macs.
Yeah.
That
Funny.
kid's gonna grow like a weed.
I
Oh
think
my
fast food has evolved. Like McDonald's is not on my list.
No.
Like there's better
No.
sandwiches and better food and
It's
better
just
ingredients.
there's a lot of convenience buttons
There
nowadays.
is.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
yes.
yep.
They're
Yeah.
fighting for your dollars too
Yep.
these days too, because it's not that inexpensive anymore. Again, $5.79 compared
Yeah,
to
there's no dollar menu.
65.
There's like a
No,
$10 menu.
Exactly. Yeah, it's expensive these days. We see it in our everyday lives. Absolutely. And because of that, we know the Fed chief is looking at this every single month, and interest rates have just come down again just a bit after the Federal Reserve's latest quarter-point cut. But Fed Chief Jerome Powell notes some uncertainty about their next decision coming up in December based on some of the latest economic data. Here's what he said about that.
In this less dynamic and somewhat softer labor market, the downside risks to employment appear to have risen in recent months. Inflation has eased significantly from its highs in mid-2022, but remains somewhat elevated relative to our 2% longer-run goal.
All right, so if you're still with us after that extremely thrilling speech there from Jerome Powell.
Jay Powell.
Bottom line is inflation's still higher than most of us would like here. Interest rates, though, are now lower than what most of us would like. They were pretty high there for a while for savers, and that was great. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, where are the best investment opportunities for our portfolios as we start to see those interest rates start to sink?
Well, the best investment for your portfolio really comes down to what are your dreams, goals, and your desires? What is your goal for that money? As interest rates come down, you're getting less at the bank. You were getting over 5% for those money market funds. Maybe you're getting 3.5%. Now we're seeing those slowly tick down as the Fed does this. The banks are making less money, so they're not going to pay the consumers as much money as well.
And you'll see this with all of the bank billboards, right? You start seeing their numbers are going down because they know something else is likely happening.
Right. And then they'll throw, get this CD rate at 4.5. And you got to read the fine print because that 4.5 is an annual rate. But if it's only a 3-month CD, you're going to end up getting, a third of that because that's an annual rate. And they know in 3 months the interest rates are going to be lower. So you're not going to re-up at that 4.5. You're going to re-up at 3. Again, I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about interest rates. The crux of the conversation is, what do you want to do? What is that money earmarked for? Is it just your rainy day fund that's sitting in the bank and you're like, I never touch it, but if there was an emergency, I know it's there. Great. Then your goal with that money is you just want to keep pace with inflation. So if inflation is 2.8, 2.9%, that should be your goal for that money. If you're a little more of a risk taker, I've got enough money, what I need in the bank, that's fine. I don't want too much money in the bank because it's not working as hard as it did for me. So maybe I go into the market or I go looking at some fixed income options. There's all different things out there, whether it's municipal bonds to keep things tax-free interest, whether it's structured notes that offer a cap on the upside, but they offer you downside protection. So you can get the growth of the market without having exposure to. So there's all different kinds of investments out there. What do you need that money to do as part of your plan? That's the question you should be asking.
I think what Gerald said there was really important because you might not get it as the typical like day-to-day, this doesn't excite me. It does it for us at Mattson Financial, obviously, but that downside protection piece that Gerald's talking about. So how do you make sure that you have, guaranteed income and that protection from the markets? And yes, some of those tools are fixed income annuities, but the other tools that he's talking about, you're still invested in the markets. You have downside protection, and some of those right now we are seeing at 100% downside protection with the ups in the market. Obviously, that's not 100% of the upside because that's kind of your opportunity cost of what you're giving up a little bit to say, I'm having this downside protection. But once again, it's tied back to what's the goal? What do we need these funds to do? Then we figure out what's the portfolio or the tool that we need to make sure we see this through. And so back to our conversation that we were having earlier, when we start seeing these changes, we need to look at how do we adjust and adapt with the times. We cannot stay in this set it and forget it mode. That type of strategy or philosophy as an investment firm no longer works in today's rate cycle. Right. So you need to make sure that you have a team of fiduciary advisors on your side, like us at Mattson Financial, who we do look at these things. We do have active management strategies in place, and we're helping guide that conversation.
It's even more important, especially at times like this when so much is changing so quickly, not just with interest rates and inflation, but the market too.
Yeah.
And right now we're looking every single day at some of the economic data coming out. And despite a delay in getting the numbers because of the government shutdown, we do now know too that Social Security recipients will be getting a 2.8% bump in their benefits for next year. But we also know that cost of living adjustment doesn't really seem to keep up with our real cost of living, does it, Gerald and Laurel?
Yeah.
No, I love how the government says, oh, hey, we're going to increase your Social Security by 2.8%. But then on the flip side of that, too, if you're on Medicare, that premium is going to go from $185 up to $207. So
my gosh,
you're going to get a 12% increase on your Medicare, but your Social Security is only going to go up, 2.8%. So you may get on average, I saw another study, the increase was about $50. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to give half of that to Uncle Sam for Medicare. So you're really only going to go up $25. So,
but that's important. If you have a team and you aren't working with your health solutions or your agent there for Medicare and discussion of what that looks like, you think you now have this 2.8% that, I can do all these things with. But now your budget's kind of getting back out of control because you're like, I'm spending more. I have more in premiums over here, and I didn't know or plan for that.
Right.
We bring that all in-house, so we have these conversations with you actually behind the scenes a little bit before we have it with you because we have Medicare Matt here, and we can talk about what's happening with plans and premiums and all of these things.
And this all goes back to when we first sit down with our clients and we're talking about when's the best time to take Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Like, working out that plan. Yes, we're good, but we don't know when you're going to pass away. And that's the ultimate question for Social Security, right?
When's the magic number?
Right. How long are you going to live? But when we start looking at things, a 2% increase on $2,000 is different than a 2.8% increase on $3,000, right? What gives you the maximized income you need in retirement at the lowest risk possible? Because the number one things when clients walk into the door, they say is, I don't want to run out of money. Mm-hmm. That's
number one fear.
Yep, number one concern. So let's walk through that. Hey, if we do this and we do this, and we don't know what's going to happen in the future with markets or your health or things like that, but we can have options and build in different plans and talk about the differences so you at least know. And we're trying to make those decisions based off the data today and what your plan is for retirement.
And we build in these cost of living increases in your Matson Map plan. I've seen it before where others come in to get that second opinion. I see their plan. I'm air quotes because it's, an Excel sheet that they just plug in. Social Security is $1,800 every single year. I'm like, well, that's not accurate information. Also, your income goal says $50,000 year over year here. So where is this cost of living adjustment or inflation built into your plan to make sure all of this still makes sense? Because it can still look fine on paper, but is it really accurate? Is it telling the whole story of how things work? So we're going to go over that with you, and we do have those increases built in to make sure we give you confidence to keep living life fully in retirement.
So for someone who wants to build that plan for real life in retirement and see what those real numbers actually look like based on what they've saved for retirement, based on those different claiming ages for Social Security, based on Medicare, all those pieces of the retirement puzzle, how can they sit down and have that conversation with you?
You can give us a call if you're one of the first 5 callers and you're getting ready to retirement or already retired, or perhaps you're one of those individuals we've talked about. Maybe you're seeing some layoffs and you're wondering if you might be next. So you just need that checkup. So you can get your Matson Map by calling us at 800-536-8907, one of those first 5 callers, and see how your plan can adjust so your retirement paycheck is secure no matter what the Fed does next.
We know a lot's changing right now, but this is going to provide you that confidence, again, to walk away when you're ready, to retire when you're ready with confidence because you know what your numbers look like. So take advantage of that special offer with us this weekend here on Money Mentors. Talk to one of our great team members off the air during today's show, 800-536-8907. Be one of those first 5 callers today. You can also reach us during the week at that same number. Just mention you heard your Money Mentors here on the radio and have that conversation about your plan. 800-536-8907. Or take a few minutes this weekend and set up that visit through our website at matsonfinancial.com. Just click that Schedule Now button for that getting to know you call there. That's matsonfinancial.com. But next, so you turned 73 this year. When do you need to take your RMD? It is a little bit tricky. We'll answer that for you next. And what happens behind the scenes on some very important financial transactions? We'll get the behind the scenes look at Matson Financial coming up next as Money Mentors continues on Wood Radio.
Getting you not just to, but through retirement. This is the Money Mentors Podcast.
Thanks for checking out the Money Mentors podcast. And if you have questions for the team at Matson Financial Services, they're getting people ready for the new year, helping with some of those year-end financial decisions too. But if you have some questions that you need to get off your chest, some things you need to knock off your list this year, feel free to reach out anytime at matsonfinancial.com. Click that Schedule Now button to address some questions with the team there. That's matsonfinancial.com. And I have a friend who's actually helping her mom figure out RMDs, required minimum distributions, for the first time this year. But it's interesting because her mom has a December birthday and turns 73 this year, so toward the end of the year. So she was wondering, does she have to take her RMD this year since it's so late, or can she wait until 2026?
Man, you hit me with RMDs. Like, if you're going to talk about RMDs,
trying to find
you
some
should
balance.
have like the Jaws theme song, because that's whenever I think RMDs, I think dun. Yeah,
right.
it's like what's lurking underneath.
Yes.
But, yeah, because you got to have a plan for RMD. So the short answer to this is when you have those later birthdays, you can always delay your first required minimum distribution. So
Only your first.
Only your first. So she would have, in this instance, she would have until April of next year to take her first RMD. However, you got to be careful because if you delay it, you still have to take next year's RMD as well.
Oh, okay,
so
double up.
if you delay it, then next year she's really taking 2 RMDs in the same tax year. Now, if you're working or depending on what the other income looks like, you want to understand how that's going to impact your taxes.
Yep.
What's it going to do? Is it going to change your Medicare premiums? Is it going to change any of that? Is it going to change the taxability on your Social Security? It's not just a matter of taking it, not taking it. It's having a plan. Maybe she can do some charitable giving. Mm-hmm. That's another option to keep her taxable income lower.
There's your QCD. You can have QCDs for your RMDs and
alphabet soup
with all your IRAs, right? Exactly. But yeah, keep in mind too, all subsequent RMDs then must be taken by December 31st of the applicable year. And caution as well, custodians don't necessarily hire more people this time of year.
No.
So they are going to maintain with the same bodies that they have. However, usually all investors out there are waiting to the very, very end of the year to do any other Roth conversions, do any qualified charitable giving, making sure you're taking your RMDs if you haven't taken them yet. So I caution you to not put in that request too late, because if you miss these deadlines, that can mean steep penalties up to 25% of what you should have taken, right? And that's not an oopsie, can I talk to somebody about it? They don't care. That's just money from you directly to them.
Okay, yeah, that's still steep. I mean, it used to be 50%, but still 25% is not,
Did come
not
down,
fun either.
But no.
No. So again, these are the deadlines you don't want to miss. And if you're coming across this for the very first time, if you have questions about this, we're going to tell you more in just moments here about how you can get started with a team at Metzen Financial. And actually, when we're talking about meeting with you two, it's interesting. I came across an interesting article this week, and I wanted to ask you about this too. I don't know about you two, but for me, buying a car is probably one of the most frustrating transactions ever. I mean,
I will echo that 1,000%.
Right? Don't you hate it?
Horrible.
Hate it. Yeah. Even if you have great credit, you know what you want. It seems like you go into a dealership and the process can take hours and hours and hours. But I recently
came phone store too. Sorry, but I'm gonna say that as well. Those are the two things that like instantly kind of frustrate me.
Yes, exactly. But I recently came across a USA Today article from an automotive guy who explained the behind the scenes and why it takes so long, going from all the customer questions to the salesperson's role in the transaction to what happens behind the scenes with finance, who are dealing with multiple customers at one time and all the different headaches there, to the delivery process. And it actually helped me understand why you might have to wait, because all these people are dealing with different customers at all the same time. And again, your part of it might be really easy, but they might be dealing with so many different other little headaches behind the scenes. So I wanted you to kind of explain for our listeners here a little about the behind the scenes in your process. What happens after you first meet with our listeners? What goes into the plan that you build for them that they don't necessarily see?
I love this question.
Yeah, we're going to need some extra time today. I think we could dedicate a whole show to this question. But
I think too, from that, transparency is key. And so I would have much more patience walking into a dealership if I was ready. If somebody came up to me and said okay, kind of here's the process. Can keep it high level, but then I have expectations that I know why things are taking so long. I understand the checks and balances.
Yeah.
And that's what I love most about what we do is we talk about it a lot on the radio, but we also talk about it when you call us and we get to know you a little bit over the phone to say, well, tell me about what you're looking for. What do you feel like is missing today? What's keeping you up at night? What's your retirement timeline? And we're going to talk to you about, our first, second, and third meetings. And at those meetings, we're going to guide you through our process. We're going to talk about our fees. We're going to talk about our investing philosophy and how we create this written retirement plan for you that shows all of these things. But Gerald, do you want to kind of take a stab at what you do? From they come in, we meet, ready, go.
I just said we're going to need a lot more.
Right.
No, high level. After we leave that meeting, I have a good sense of what your goals are, what you're trying to do, what your concerns are, what your situation is. I take the information that you have, I load it into my software, and I start working on that plan. Okay, if this is your retirement date, what do we have to do between now and then? Okay, maybe that's 2 years away. And then what do we do from post-retirement all the way through end of plan and then beyond that plan? Because if you're just looking at it from yourself, you're not looking at the total plan. So we have to look at all those involved. And that takes a lot of time. So once I load that stuff into the software, now I'm working through the best scenarios as far as what type of returns do we need based off the income that you want. And sometimes it's easy. If you've got $10 million and you only need $1,000 a month, well, that's not going to take me as long as if you have $500,000 in retirement and you need $10,000 a month, right?
Right.
Every single one of my clients has an individualized plan based on what they want to do. And sometimes it's not an easy conversation. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I know you want, $10,000 a month, but if that's your ultimate goal, you're going to have to work a little longer. It doesn't work at this age because you haven't saved enough, and therefore your risk is higher. So those are all the things we're looking at. The man hours into this, I guess to put a bow on this, between loading it into the software and working the plan up and looking at all the different options and then presenting that option to you at that next meeting, we're 30 to 40 man hours into it just to give you that plan. Like, it's a full week's worth of work, and we're doing it for multiple clients across multiple platforms, and we're also redoing it for those who have been clients for a while. So it's not a one and done thing.
Yeah.
We're constantly looking to update it as well.
And it's a complete review. I have heard, other financial firms out there, based on new clients that come to us, say, I've got an income plan, but they won't tell me when to take Social Security. And I'm like, well, that's crucial when it comes to income. Another thing is that onus is on the client to take their required minimum distributions. That's not on XYZ advising firm to help you do that or make those recommendations. We have a totally different philosophy to where we want to make sure you're enjoying retirement. That's what you hired us to do, what you've trusted us to do. So we are going to look and talk about all these little things. And if there's something we need you to do, it's going to be very clear to say, here's what you need to do from here, or what statements you need to give us, or you need to log in and select this, or bring in your computer. We'll walk you through it because we understand that there's some hiccups with technology. It can be very frustrating. So let's remove all of those barriers, and have like the best client experience possible, because this stuff could feel like walking in a door of buying a new car or a phone.
Yeah.
Right? So let's make that a lot easier. And also what Gerald was talking about is like, we're going to start with your income of what you need, but then we really backtrack that and say, okay, well, our health insurance premiums included in that. What do taxes look like then on top of that? When do we take Social Security, and how does this affect your spouse if you are married? Should something happen to you, what would they get? So there's so many different scenarios that our advisors are running behind the scenes to make sure we have the best output possible. And then once we have that second meeting together, we're going to go over, hey, here's what we came up with. Here are our recommendations. Here's everything you've done so far. Here's what we would do, what tweaks we would make, and what this will look like. And then from there, they might say, you know what? I see, Gerald, that you're having me start Social Security at age 66. But what if I took it at 62? Well, funny you said that. He probably has that one already, loaded up in the system, because if you talked about that in your first meeting, he can throw it up and say, here's what 62 would look like. Your income changes by this. Maybe we're offsetting some returns or some market volatility, whatever that reason is. But we can go back and forth and workshop it with you until you feel confident that this is the right plan. But also we make sure we're tying all of these recommendations back to the goals that you talked about day one with us.
It's also why we make that process complimentary to get started, so you can see the difference for yourself. So why don't we open up that invitation for a few of our listeners again this weekend?
Yes. So whether you're planning your first retirement meeting or you've had your accounts kind of on autopilot, let's take that first step today, especially before the end of the year. So you can schedule your discovery meeting to get your Matson map, your personalized roadmap to get you to and through retirement with confidence. So you can call us today at 800-536-8907 or visit us at matsonfinancial.com to start the conversation.
Give us a call. Our team will be standing by for a few minutes after today's show at 800-536-8907. So you can sign up now, 800-536-8907, or take a few minutes online this weekend at matsonfinancial.com and click that Schedule Now button. And of course, join us here again next weekend for more lessons right here with your money mentors.
At Matson Financial, our mission is simple: to help you and the people you love retire with confidence, because retirement isn't the finish line, it's the next chapter in your family story.
As the year drifts out with the tide, don't let your finances be lost at sea. Drop at anchor, check your charts, and get ready for calmer waters ahead. I'm Gerald, signing off from the beach of better investing. Cheers to profits and pina coladas.
Whoop, whoop. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to the Money Mentors.
Want weekly lessons from your money mentors? Yes. Hit the subscribe button now and listen every weekend on Wood Radio.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Fee-based financial planning and investment services are offered by Matson Financial Services, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products and services offered through Lakeview Financial Group, LLC, Matson Financial Services, LLC, and Lakeview Financial Group are affiliated. To find out if Matson Financial Services is licensed in your state, please call 800-536-8907.